Their aura is unequal.
Well, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Or whatever. And they told me to make it a little more raspy, and I follow directions.
Their contents are legendary.
Like that little sheet you see is his concept drawing.
Their attitude is embraced. Tune in to one of the most up and rising kaiju-sized groups within our community. So go ahead and watch all of their creative content, including that of the Raw Attitude live interview, where they have special guests ranging from actors, directors, toy creators, artists, and many, many more. You can also find them on multiple of other social media platforms, ranging from Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You could even sit back and watch your favorite classic monster movie and even watch us go through one of the most iconic games on Twitch. Featuring your hosts, Eric Stolp, Adrian Settle, Joe Myers, Samson West, Jordan Adorno. They are the Monsters with Attitude.
What's going on, listeners with Attitude? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Raw with our special guest, Barry from House of Monsters. But before we get there, joining me as always is my co-host, my brother from another mother, Mr. Eric Stolp, with the most shitty camera in the history of our podcast. Having major technical difficulties, making us 15 minutes late, making our illustrious guest wait, Eric Stolp. How are you, buddy?
Barry, cut me some slack, please. I mean, save me from this heckler here, because this has never happened before, ever. So this is
Eric,
this new
my show runs on time. My business runs on time. It's all about time. So
I'm sorry.
That's great. We'll forgive you this time, Eric. Before we get going, I want to give a quick little shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, which is Super 7. Go to super7.com for all your collecting and memorabilia needs. Go to super7.com/monsters with attitude 2024 and spend all of your money, all of it. So yeah, all right. Today we're starting off like we did last year, the road to G-Fest, and like Adrian Settle says, the road to G-Fest goes right through the MWA, and our first guest this year is friend of the show, friend anyways, local Midwesterner, Chicagoan, Barry Kaufman of House of Monsters. Welcome, Barry. Thank you so much for coming back on. It's good to have you.
Oh, it's great to be on, and it's such a wonderful build up with a month left to G-Fest. It gets the gets the excitement and energy going. I'm ready.
Yes. I tell you, it goes so slow every year between G-Fest and the next G-Fest, but then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a month away. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm rifling through my warehouse spaces and stuff, and trying to say, oh gosh, I have to get it's hard to get it together. I mean, especially because I was just at that All Monsters Attack show that was, we saw you in Chicago, at, and so I got some stuff ready for that, but I pulled stuff out. Now I got to put it back together. I don't have everything in this right place. I was at the King County show, so it's already here, and there's so much to do. And it's always sort of a rush, because I want to have the most I can to pile it up to the ceiling, which we always like to do at G-Fest,
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So before we get into all the Godzilla goodies that you're going to be selling, I want to ask you, I know we asked you a couple of these questions last time, but we've grown a lot. And so for some of the newer audience members that we have, just a little rapid fire or answer for as short or as long as you would like. Favorite Godzilla movie?
Well, can I do a dual favorite Godzilla movie? Is that okay or no?
Yeah,
probably not.
Yeah,
Well,
There's no rules
I
here at the MWA.
I know you guys are pretty freewheeling. I appreciate that because sometimes that's difficult. People say, "What's your favorite movie in the that kind of thing?" So,
Right.
I mean, the Japanese Godzilla King of the Monsters is definitely, but I will say the movie that kind of gets me going for whatever reason and really charges me up is Godzilla versus Hedorah. That really does that connects with me. That's the second Godzilla movie I ever saw. I saw Godzilla King of the Monsters first, and that was the American version on television, obviously, with Raymond Burr, which was still very exciting, obviously. But then Godzilla versus Hedorah was one of the first movies that Rich Koz Svengoolie showed when he started in Chicago. Was that. So then I saw it on his show, and I couldn't believe that Godzilla was championing, the environment, and he was a hero in that way. And I thought that was so cool. And it was just a very different film. And I like most of the things about that people hate. I think I like those things. I think they're great because they're different than other Godzilla movies. And I really think that the director, Yoshimi Bano, really put his heart into that movie, even though it was low budget and everything like that. He really put it in there and tried to make a movie that was sort of made its statement and was maybe a little too dark or harsh, maybe for the tone that people were used to at that time, what Godzilla movies were doing. So it was sort of, it was a hit in the United States. It actually did really well at the box office. It was really promoted by American International, and it was, really well received in that way, not by critics, because it was in the 50 worst films of all time. When I was a kid, there was a book called The 50 Worst Films of All Time by my brothers named Harry and Michael Medved, who are both jerks, I think. But they wrote, how terrible horror was. And as a kid, I was shattered. I'm like, oh my gosh, this movie I love so much. But so those are really my two favorites. The original Godzilla for obvious reasons, and then Godzilla versus Hedorah, just because of that sort of different tone that it has. I like the way I like that style of Godzilla, the 68, 71, 72, style of Godzilla. I always love that look, a little more sort of gets to me at what Godzilla is all about to me, which is the guy in the suit and Haruo Nakajima. And he had a little kind of performance. He was a little more expressive, doing things like the famous, celebrity in Japan, doing that kind of stuff, rubbing his nose and stuff and all the different moves. I just thought that was cool to see that kind of energy coming from him in that film. So I really did dig that film.
It's a great film. It's definitely unique. I would say it's probably one of, if not the most unique Godzilla films, and just its overall the vibe, all of it. The I don't want to say the effects, because obviously the effects are pretty, typical relatively.
Of the time.
For the time. But even the Godzilla's skeleton hand, the scar of punching into Hedorah's eye, just some of the graphicness was, we did have it in other films, but I don't know if I would say really to that extent. Yes, Gigan's buzzsaw, with the squirting blood and stuff, but
an angle of suspense, right?
Sure. And even them cracking Godzilla's skull open, but
that's very sad. Very sad.
Yeah, it is. It's very sad. But yeah, no,
I don't like to see that.
And I would honestly say, I think that Hedorah was one of the ones that I probably watched of the Showa era anyways, the most frequently when I was a kid. I had more access to the Heisei era at growing up, but yeah, Hedorah was definitely one of them. So is it safe to say that Showa's your favorite era then?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a little younger, I'm a little older than you guys, and I'm sort of an over the hill hippie. So Godzilla versus Hedorah really fit into my groove back then. Psychedelic and environment and stuff like that. So that really was into the blacklight den. Was Godzilla versus Hedorah. That really had the tone. Yeah. But I definitely, there's other great films in the series that I really love. But the Showa series, I think, just because of Tsuburaya and Honda's collaborations, I love that team. And Sekizawa's scripts, I really enjoy a lot of the themes that he explores. So I just, those films sort of, to me, are like the grounding of Godzilla. And then it all comes out from there. And there's still some really good stuff after that. But those definitely, I just gravitate towards those films.
So you brought it up. I got to ask. Totally. I mean, did you ever do psychedelics and watch the psychedelics of Godzilla vs. Hedorah? Now, feel free to plead the fifth, Barry, and say that you want to answer. But you brought it up, so I got to ask.
Well, no. THC is legal in Illinois now, and even when I was a kid, I gravitated towards that. But I never really could do anything harder because I went to a party when I was 16 years old, and everybody was having screwdrivers, and I drank too much, and I was so sick. I vowed never to touch anything again except for marijuana. That was it. So my partner Evelyn, she keeps saying, "Oh, Barry, we have to try, this sometime or that sometime." And I just, you know what? My friend Damien, I don't know if you know Damien from the House of Monsters, my buddy who does the models and stuff like that. He did the store with me. He's at every show with me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen him, right? Exactly. So he once at the House of Monsters, he said, "Oh, Barry, why don't you try this? I got these little mushrooms here." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll give that a try." So I went home, I tried them, and I watched Matango, Attack of the Mushroom People, and I ended up crying under my sheets for 3 hours after that. So that again was my last experience. That was my last experience. That's my last experience. Do not watch that movie on that. I should not have done that, but because that movie's freaky. But anyway, so so that was it. So I stick with the mellow stuff, Yeah. I'm just a mellow guy. So that's too much for me.
That's hilarious. I ate mushrooms, watched Matango, and cried under the sheets for 3 hours.
I did. I was done.
I'll tell you what, the show's not getting better from here, guys. That's a wrap. That's the best. That's the best story we've ever been told on MWA for sure. I love it. How'd you get
That's
into?
Revealing.
Yeah, it is revealing, and thank you for being so honest. I love that. That's why we love you, Barry. How'd you get into dealing? Setting up shows, or did you have a store, anything like that?
Well, as you guys probably know, because your story is probably similar, this problem started at a very young age. I started out when I was, like 8 or 9 years old. My mom fortunately recognized my interest in the subject matter. I wasn't an avid reader. She couldn't really get me interested. So she found any like monster and horror related books she could, monster movie stuff, which wasn't as available as it is now. This was 1974, but she'd get me these books and I would read them. I started drawing from them and I got so excited. And then I started like ordering from Captain Company, package of famous monsters. I found movie poster stores in the Chicago area, which there were several, and I got into movie posters, and I loved Godzilla so much that I had a hard time finding Godzilla stuff back then, as you know, obviously. In those days, you were lucky to find an Aurora model kit, and maybe a Popey Godzilla gang a few years later or something, but you really didn't have an influx of Godzilla merchandise like we have today, to say the least. So after that, I started like avidly collecting. I got a job where I made a little more money. And I didn't really have anything else going on. I'm like, oh, this is great. There's all this Godzilla stuff in Japan, So I started getting all this Godzilla stuff. I got connected with a couple people who shipped me stuff from Japan. And then pretty soon, I ended up, I was married at the time and mastering all this stuff. Then I got divorced. Thank goodness for that one. And I ended up with this apartment. And it was just up to the ceiling with Godzilla stuff, monster stuff, but mostly Godzilla stuff. And my friend Damien came over and he said, "What are you doing with all this stuff?" He met me at G-Fest and he said, "Do you want to open a store?" We met at G-Fest 96, actually, my friend Damien, one of the early G-Fests. I said, "I don't know if I have enough stuff." So he came over and said, "What are you talking about?" And then I showed him the storage space. He said, "Oh, let's open a store." So he really did help me out in terms of opening a store in 1996. When I was a kid, I put out some fanzines, when I was young, and those are kind of silly, although I had contributors and they were pretty good. I put out a few issues of Monsters of Japan, and I was always interested in collecting and dealing with videos and stuff. But then I got all this Godzilla merchandise because I was collecting it because I loved it so much. But I realized that, like I see in back of you, shitty era camera, that we get all this stuff, and then pretty soon we're like, well, do I want to store this stuff away and never see it? What am I doing with that? What am I doing with all this stuff? It really doesn't have value if you're not ever seeing it or enjoying it. It has value to somebody else. So we opened the House of Monsters in 1996. And then we started doing, I did shows already, but then we really started doing shows, touring the country, and then the store really did it. And after that, I couldn't stop.
Right on. And you don't still have the store anymore, right? Now you just do the conventions now?
No, the retail store lasted about 12 years, and it sort of ended up when I had kids, and that took a lot of time. eBay was coming up at that time. When the store was, started in 96, there was no eBay, very little of that. That grew, the internet grew, ordering online grew, and then it sort of became, the store was always great. We had a great time, but it became a little superfluous because people were getting so much stuff online, and I was getting the stuff in, but they weren't buying it there as much. They were buying it online a lot. So then I decided, I better take the time and, put it into doing shows, more internet stuff too, like everybody else was doing. So I had a website and eBay store and stuff like that. So the store lasted for 12 years, but it was great. And it was, pretty much half Godzilla, definitely, He was always the mascot. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. And what a great mascot he is. You mentioned that Eric and I ran into you at All Monsters Attack. What was it? Last month. Yeah, we're already in June. Golly.
Yes.
How was it for you? Was it fun? Did you have a good turnout? It seemed like it was busier than the last couple of years.
It was. I always have a good time if I can like see you guys or talk to people, stuff like that. I always enjoy that. I always like to see the people, the G-Fest people, whatever. It's always fun talking to people, seeing what they're into, seeing what they're enthusiastic about, what's going on with them. So I always like that. So from that perspective, I had a great time with that. And sort of the nice thing about the show, Double-Edged Sword, is that it wasn't as busy, obviously, nearly as G-Fest, which can be crazy. So I had time to talk to people. We could really talk and hang out and stuff. And that's nice. I really enjoyed that. As far as anything else, the sales were fine because even though there might have only been, like maybe 50 or 60 Godzilla fans there, maybe 100, they're Godzilla fans, and they're into it. So I did fine with sales and I had a good time and it was really fun. It's just a little bit of a slower, show, definitely, and you could sort of feel that, but there was still some great stuff there. It's still cool stuff. I don't know if you guys thought so too, or saw some cool things, but I thought it was a nice show. There was a guy, did you guys see? I'm sure you did. There was a guy from Japan who just had like shelves of like vinyls. Did you see that guy like in the back by sort of the conference room, or did you see him or no?
That's who I bought.
The vinyls, gigantic Godzilla stuff.
Yeah, that's who I bought a bunch of posters from him of the Ichiban Kuji.
He had some cool stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that was cool. I was glad to see him. Yeah, that was cool. And I was,
I got this guy at AMA.
Oh yeah, you got that from that thing's awesome. I love that.
I forget what his name, what the guy's company name is. And I don't want to say it wrong, but I haven't seen this at G-Fest. I probably haven't. I just don't remember, but. Yeah, so they do have some great stuff at AMA for sure.
You can't miss that at G-Fest. That box is giant.
The box
that thing came in. It's the hugest box.
Yes, it is.
That's a good buy. That's a good buy.
Yeah, it was. It was a great buy, and it was cool to get it. That like you said, AMA is very it is. It's very slow compared to G-Fest, but that's why Eric and I actually love it, because we go as fans. We're not dealing, we're not doing whatever, we're just going and enjoying a convention. Where at G-Fest we work behind tables and stuff, and like you said, it gets very hectic, to where you don't always have a chance to enjoy the shows because you're so busy working behind the tables or doing whatever. And then by the time it's done, you eat something, you're tired. You're not really gonna go walk around
absolutely
or whatever. So that's what I love about AMA, and I hope that they do continue it.
Well, that's a double-edged sword too, because like G-Fest, for example, I love that show. There's so much going on there, that you can see. There's the model room, the art room. They're showing shows and movies all the time. A couple of years ago, there was a guy, which I love, and this is antiquated, and Evelyn does too, my partner, was showing Super 8 kaiju movies, from all over the world, in Super 8. He was projecting those and stuff. So there's so much great stuff going on there. But of course, if you're selling there, you can't really participate, as much. So that's always an issue, of like wanting to see things. And I had people watch the table and go check stuff out, but it's very hard to participate. So that is nice about that show, that you can just hang out, see stuff, and whatever, and not have to worry about the hustle bustle sort of thing. Yep, that's true.
Absolutely.
What is? I'm kind of curious. What is your favorite thing that you like to do about vending when you go to these shows? Like, what do you? The most joy that you get out of doing this? Like, what is it for you that you keep coming back and you keep doing this? Besides it being a job, per se.
Well, fortunately, I'm very lucky. I am fortunate, and I really am, because it's not my main job. If it was my main job, that can be stressful, because you have to make a certain amount, you have to make a certain this and support yourself. I don't know that I have the skill or business sense to support myself with this, business. But because I have another job, I get so much enjoyment of, particularly at G-Fest. The thing I really love is seeing kids there. You know what I mean? The energy of the kids, which you don't see at a lot of shows. The other shows I go to, there's younger people at some of the horror shows and stuff like that, but not like, the 7, 8, 9, 10 to 13 or 14-year-olds everywhere, just so excited about Godzilla, and with so much knowledge. It's amazing the amount of knowledge they have about Godzilla, and not only the new movies. And the thing that always really sort of warms my heart is when the kids come up, I'm like, oh yeah, they'll want something from, which I don't have as much. I have stuff from, like, Godzilla X Kong and the legendary films and stuff too, of course. But I'm like, oh, they'll want something from that. And like last G-Fest, all the kids were looking for the 1972 Monster Arts Godzilla from Gigan.
Godzilla,
that's what everybody, all the kids wanted, And I was like, I did have a bunch of those because I thought that was a great figure. That was a really, really awesome figure. And those sold out on Friday because it was all kids, who wanted these. So I'm like, oh, this is great, So it always really, really makes me happy to see that. I understand the new stuff's coming out. If I was a kid now, I'd be checking it. I still watch it, but I'd be loving that stuff and into it. I understand that completely. But they always go back to the origins, and that's really wonderful to see. So that's one of the things I love the most, is seeing that interest and knowing, don't want to sound like an old grandpa, but knowing that will be sustained. The interest in Godzilla will not die. I go to these other shows. I was at a movie poster show in Columbus, and, I was the youngest dealer there. And I sold there 25 years ago, and I was the youngest dealer there. So, that's how that's going, and that's going by the wayside, but Godzilla lives always. I mean, he'll be eternal, because the energy's there, and I just like to see that. So that's one of the things I enjoy the most. I also, I'm not talking too long, sorry. Really enjoy, I always enjoy like seeing what people are into and why, because there's always really interesting stories behind what people are really into specifically. Because as you know, I have like at the G-Fest, I have like half Godzilla stuff or more. Like the House of Monsters, they do the same thing. But then I have half other stuff too. I have monster magazines, movie posters, some model kits from other, other horror and Ray Harryhausen stuff. I have quite a bit of that. So it's always interesting to see, like, when people come up and ask for something or find something specific, that they come up to me with a bunch of Monster Times magazines. Like, one guy last year bought like 15 of them. He was like so thrilled to find them. And I wanted to hear his experience with them. And it's really interesting to hear people's experiences at the time and how they latched onto something, because everybody has something a little different to say. So I always enjoy that. I mean, you guys probably have that experience too, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, all the time we're talking about, on the show here, how, we're meeting new people and how we met and what they like, what they don't like. Why don't you like it? Why do you like it? Exchanging those experiences with each other is amazing, honestly. And with the help with social media, with streaming like this, like, we have that chance to meet these people that we would have never thought, or, meet the mailman that lives 2 houses down and so happens to be a Godzilla fan you would have never known, kind of thing. So we also love hearing people's experiences and what they like, what they don't like, what they're into, what they're collecting, why they're collecting. It's very fascinating, honestly. It's a lot of fun.
And that's sort of like a form of of solidarity that it's hard to have right now with texting and social media and everybody being so distant. And it's like, you get together, everybody's got a common interest. Everybody, to me, is, the people I deal with are really cool and interesting. As you may know, I'm also a physician, so I know people there, and some of them actually talk to me about their medical problems. And I kind of give them like advice on navigating the system and stuff like that. So we talk about other stuff, but you get to know people that way, And like you said, in a way you would never meet these people, and it does make you connect. And I think sometimes you lose like humanity and connection with people, like, oh, people are jerks on social media and everybody's, whatever, and you get kind of cynical about it. But at G-Fest, there's such a good feeling there, with everybody, like you said, and you connect with people who you'd never meet. And that's really the great thing about it too,
I did not know you were a physician, but now at G-Fest, I'm going to show you my boil and ask you to tell me what I can do about it. And
but pull my case down in front of anybody. What am I supposed to do with this?
I'll bring my lance.
Yeah, right, yeah.
We'll take care of it for you right there. Yeah. I'll have a side like they have massage at G-Fest. I'll have my outpatient urgent care next to the additional table.
Clinic.
Okay,
there's a clinic right next to House of Monsters. Right
exactly.
There. You go.
Exactly. You got it. You got it.
Only.
Godzilla therapy.
That's hilarious. Do you just sell or do you collect too?
Oh, believe me, that's the problem. And you guys, I know, are younger. You're in your 30s, 40s, right? For like that kind of thing, right? Pretty much.
Oh, Eric is.
I may ask. I hope I'm not being rude.
I am not. I am. Not, so. I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 30s. So yes.
So sorry, I don't be so personal. But
no.
Okay, but like I said, I'm older. I've been collecting since I was 9, and I sell stuff. And sometimes, as you guys, I don't know if you have this experience or not, but particularly when I had the store, but even sometimes not. But when I had the store, you've got a nut to make. You've got to make enough money to keep the store going, per month. So I would have to sell stuff that I really didn't want to sell all the time, like sealed Aurora monster kits or this really rare Godzilla vintage thing. But you know what? People are going to pay and I have to sell it. So you think, oh, I want it. Not that we don't have too many things anyway and spoiled, but, so I've been through that. Despite that, I still have way too much stuff that I really love. And the problem is I love all film, but I particularly love science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And today you've got to be careful because there's so much merchandising. There's nothing you can do. There's no possible way. I can't anyway. Maybe you guys can. I can't get every Godzilla thing. Even in the era that I love the most, I can't get it. So you got to be careful. And now I'm saying, because you guys are youngsters, listen to the old man, that when you get to a certain age and you've been doing this accumulating, you got 3 warehouse spaces and a house full and a condo full and an apartment full of stuff. You think, wow, what's going to happen to all this? Where's it going? What am I going to do with it? So that becomes problematic, although, we do love it. And as we were talking about, Joe, like this giant poster from King Kong Escapes. I love movie posters so much. I have so many movie posters that, I'll probably never be able to put up, sort of like the song, there are so many songs of me that won't be sung. There's so many movie posters I will never hang, but, you got to live with that. But yeah, so I collect and it's probably, collecting is a form of addiction anyway, but it's out of hand and I have to do something about it. I'll have to admit it here on this very podcast that I have MWA. I'm going to confess I need to do something about it. I need an intervention here, Okay.
Well, Barry, I think it's safe to say that
we welcome you.
Yeah, we welcome to the club, and we're all
group hug.
We all have that addiction known as collecting.
Dude, it's for real.
So,
and you mentioned Super 7. You mentioned Super 7. Look, I had to have that. I had to have that. What are you gonna do? It never stops. It keeps coming.
Yes, I know. Especially with awesome links like super7.com/monsterswithattitude 2024, where you can buy all your collecting and memorabilia needs.
Well, see, I want to say something about Super 7, and it's not bad, but it is definitely something that irks me. Yeah. They know how to appeal to people like me, and I don't like it. This package. Just that package of the Godzilla versus
Megalon. Dude, the packaging alone sells me every time.
Exactly. The scene that they choose to do, the little box, little diorama, I don't like what they're doing to me.
Shame.
That's funny.
They're good.
They are good.
They know how to do it.
Good.
I do like what they put out. I think it's nice they put out stuff at different price points for everybody too. That's really cool. You know, they've got like gigantic Mecha Godzilla for $400, but they've got these things for $20 or 25. That's really good. I think that's really nice, and the things are cool. So I think they're doing a great job.
I agree.
And they didn't make me say that. You didn't make me say that either. I'm saying it in my own free will. Yeah, I really do think so.
I agree. So we've hinted at it throughout the past 30 minutes. I guess let's dive into all of those goodies and more that you will have this coming G-Fest next, literally like a month away. Whatever one you want to start with, Barry. What are you going to be selling? What do you want to promote?
What do you got me buying from you, Barry? What is it? Come on.
Get your hands off it. Eric already claimed 2 different things from him.
Well,
that's not
Gary
fair.
wants a
That's not
Gary
fair.
wants he already wants a Gappa. Okay, the Gappas are flying away. As I told Joe before the show started, you know, I love this figure. I do like the monster. I do like the movie.
Gorgeous.
But it's the movie looks great and the figure's awesome. But you know, obviously it's a more obscure figure, and for some reason when it came out, it wasn't really around very much. Like, you know, sometimes there's saturation with certain Godzilla, you know, X pluses. That wasn't around, and I got 8 of them, and I put in sequence, and I didn't want to sell them all because I want to save some for G-Fest, but I put one on eBay and at a pretty, you know, not a terrible price, but a pretty high price for what it was, because I saw what they were selling for from Japan, which was like $600 already. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do that. But it sold in like 10 minutes, it was gone. Then I put another one on, like the next day, it sold in 10 minutes. Every one of them I put on sold right away, and then I stopped because I want to have some for G-Fest. So it's just because, you know, it is a cool monster. There is like a core of people. There's a core of people who are always looking for something outside of the sphere of Godzilla, for sure. So I like to have that stuff. I have other like single monsters that aren't Godzilla because I really think it's cool to have a variety, obviously. So, you know, that's kind of a hot figure right now. This just came out, which I really love because I love GMK. You talk about favorite Godzilla movies. I really did, you know, really enjoyed as far as newer Godzilla movies, GMK. I did think that was really great, the way that they sort of portrayed Godzilla like the good old days a little bit, you know. And I did not like Baragon getting abused like that, but that's okay.
Oh no!
No, that was terrible. That was terrible. But this set is really cool. It just came out. It's a repaint battle version, battle color of the original set, which came out in 2018. But that set was also so limited that, you know, I got a few of them and they were gone before G-Fest, I think. I couldn't even hold them for G-Fest. I don't think I had anything for G-Fest of those. So, so it's nice to have this again. This is a really, I think this is a beautiful set. My favorite, of course, knowing me, are the Gigantics of X Plus. Love the Gigantics. I like anything big, any big Godzilla. So, so this thing is really cool. This is the RIC version of the 2002 Godzilla. You know, so it has the closed mouth and open mouth, and it looks beautiful. I saw a friend of ours, of all of ours at, you know, House of Monsters, a guy named Steve. I don't know if you know him. He's a big guy who plays a banjo from the South. Cool guy. And you know, he is. He's awesome. Do you ever see him play the banjo?
No.
Have you seen him play the banjo? Holy moly! I mean, he's like top. You wouldn't believe it if you see it. I mean, it's just walking around going, you know, it's crazy. But he's a cool dude, and I like what we enjoy about G-Fest too, and I like at the shows is that, you know, somebody, if they're buying something like this, sometimes they want to open up and see what's going on, you know, if they're thinking about buying it. And I understand that. So he opened this up at G-Fest, and I got to see what it looks like, which I haven't done because I don't want to open it myself, obviously. And it was gorgeous. I mean, just to see that, it was beautiful. And the problem is when that happens is I kind of want one, but I have like 10 Gigantics already. What am I going to do? You know, and then I have other giant model kits at Damien. You can't do it, you know? So, so that was really exciting. I have other Gigantics there too. That's my favorite format. I think those are fantastic. I'm waiting for a 68, 71, 72. See if that happens. Gigantic. We'll see if that goes on. But yeah, that's awesome. I have Godzilla -1, the RIC, and I've got a couple other versions of him. And that's another cool version. You know, it's a funny figure that is so hot that is already like really skyrocketed in price. And again, I got a bunch just because it was an obscure creature, and I love the idea that the eyes light up on King Caesar. You know, he has those stoplight eyes, and they light up on the figure. The RIC version. That is a hot figure. I got 10 of those, sold 4 right away on eBay. I went to the Kane County Toy Show for the first time ever. That's a big toy show in the northwest, suburbs of Chicago. Huge.
Yep, I go there.
And I brought 2 of them, and they sold right away at Kane County, which was really bizarre. So
Wow.
that's a hot one. It looks great. The stoplight eyes are perfect. The way that they do it, and that's what I love about X Plus. It's just like in the movie. I mean, it's like if you put that in a dark room and light it up, it's like you're watching the movie. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
So I'll have a bunch of other X Pluses. This is the Ghidra battle set, which is really cool. It's like a repaint of the battle version of the set. I do like when they do that because you get all these figures. You get the Rodan, the Mothra on Rodan's back, like in the film, obviously, the Godzilla. You get all of those. And the price point is way less than you pay for individual figures. And these aren't like tiny little figures, that are with them. They're scaled, pretty much for the Godzilla. So I do like when they do the sets, and this too. I mean, it sort of is like economical, and it also, I just like the theme, putting the theme together of the films. I think that's really cool, and it brings out, my first and foremost love. And some people love the toys and the collectibles more than the movies. My first love is the movies. So anything that like kind of recreates, a scene or something, I just think that's awesome. Like on a clear acrylic pole, and stuff. That's super cool. Then I'll have, I have a lot of different stuff from obviously Godzilla -1 is the hottest thing, next to, whatever, Chicago style pizza. So, so I have a bunch of different stuff. I do like a lot of the figures from that are actually really nice. And this series that Bandai is doing, of these
the
like, attack versions or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Right. The Ichiban's the attack version. Those are nice. Those are good.
Yeah.
And the price points on those, again, are not too bad. So I think those are really, really nice. It's a nice series and nice figures. And I really do appreciate they're doing that. I'll have a lot, the most popular thing with the kids, younger people, next to the X Plus, which are very popular, and don't ask me how they get $300 or $400 to buy them, but, is the SH Monster Art stuff. That's what the kids really love because what's nice is they're buying them, but they're playing with them. They're opening them. And using the playability of them with the articulations and the other parts and things to put them together. Another thing that was really popular last year along those lines, and I still have some of those, were the Mezco Godzilla Destroy All Monsters sets and the Hedorah sets, because they're playable. You take them out, they have a bunch of buildings and stuff like that. And I do like the fact that, we think about this stuff, it's collectible, but it's also toys. Some of it is toys, so it's nice to see kids actually playing with toys, even if they're $100 toys. But I mean, it's nice to see them playing with them and having the enjoyment and interaction with Godzilla like that. So that's really cool. So I'll have a lot of that stuff. I have a lot of really nice Marmot and Giga Brain figures. This is a really rare one, which I think is beautiful. This is the Gualala, Marmot Gualala Sparkle, which is kind of rare. And that's a cool figure, and that's super rare. We'll have a bunch of other stuff. I just want to show you guys something if I can take a sec. This don't even. Out. You guys got to save your money. This I love. I'm not selling this. I have to show you though, because I was thinking this is a model kit that my friend Damien made for me. This is a super rare 22-inch resin kit of Godzilla from Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And I just love him so much.
10 Getsu Craft, I believe.
I do love this. So I was thinking, it's super expensive. I was thinking about selling it, but you know what? Even a dealer, a vendor like me, low down vendor, has to fall in love with something and keep something. So I'm sorry.
I mean, you really don't, Barry. I mean, you really can.
I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude. Wait, there's more. There's more. No. There is something actually.
It's not rude to sell at all, Barry.
Listen. No, this isn't quite as spectacular, but this is beautiful. This is a Hedorah, it's a Monster Maker resin kit that I will be selling to Damien Mays. This is a super cool kit. That's a good one. That's beautiful too. I'm only selling it because it's smaller than that one. But you know what I love about this? Look at this face. Look at that face. Look at that growling, nasty face. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll have. Oh, by the way, I should mention this is worth mentioning for sure. My friend Damien he built this and he built that. He's an awesome model kit builder. We'll have like 12 or 13 kits that he built there for sale, including, which I don't know if anybody's going to buy this. He made a diorama of Godzilla 54, and he bought the exact train from Japan that was in the film, the train that Godzilla, put his foot down and it's crashed into. He made a whole diorama of that with the train track, with the wires, with buildings all around, with illuminated flames coming out of the buildings. That is spectacular.
Wow.
So we'll have that, which is a showpiece. But he also made a bunch of other super cool stuff. So I really like to be, not everybody can make model kits, obviously. I stopped at the Auroras, so I mean, I'm not a model builder. So it's nice to have built-ups for people who would like a kit, but can't make them. So we'll have at least 12 or 13 built-ups there too, which is really fun. And I'm always excited to show off his work because he's just awesome. The stuff he does is spectacular. So we'll have that too. And we'll have this guy. Don't worry. We'll have at least
Heck yeah.
That's amazing. So before we get too
and
far,
I
want to bring up a couple things from the chat here so I don't lose them.
Questions.
There's a couple questions for you, Barry, from the live audience. Space Beast wants to know what your eBay store is.
Anybody named Space Beast can definitely go to my eBay store. It's my eBay store name is House of Movie Monsters. And my seller name is, sorry about this, I appropriated King O Monsters, one word, King O Monsters. So either way, you can find me that way.
Perfect.
But House of Movie Monsters is a store name. Yeah.
So House of Movie Monsters and King O Monsters on eBay.
Yes. Seller name.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leslie wants to know if you will be getting any of the 25 centimeter evolved 2024 Godzilla figs with the Shaquille O'Neal pose. I'm not sure what that means, but
I know what it is. Yes, it's got I know exactly what it is. Yeah.
It's the hug.
I think exactly. It's the I think the 24 Godzilla itself, I think he is bigger than Shaq in real life, but I'm going to I think I am getting those. It's one of those things, like I have several things coming in. I just got like a 95, Burning X Plus and stuff. I think they'll be in time for G-Fest. I'm pretty sure I will have those. I know I have those on order. I think they're shipping to me, and it's expressed they're shipping to me on July 1st. So I should have them for G-Fest. I hope. Okay. I do hope. Yes, I know what that is. That's a crazy figure. It's a good one. Yeah.
Leslie also wants to know, will you have any of the Star Ace Beast Glove Kongs for sale?
I will.
Okay.
Yes, I will. The ones with the
yellow
are you gonna have
thing? Yeah, are you going to have, I don't know when this comes out, but are you going to get the Mecha Godzilla also from Star Ace?
That I don't know if that's going to be out by then. I'm not sure. Is that out at that time? I'll check. I don't know.
I thought it was supposed to be the end of June, but
okay.
I could be wrong.
If it is, I'll have it. But I have that ordered for sure, and I ordered it specifically for G-Fest, obviously. So I should, if it's out in time. I hope so. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Space Beast says, "Okay, I'm pretty sure I bought from you before. Great store, thank you."
Hey.
Oh, thanks a lot. That's nice. Well, that's sweet.
So hang on one second. Where was Jordan's? He was interested in the GMK Mothra and Baragon set. I saw two different questions from people. You're not splitting that set up, right? You're selling it together.
Oh, I like to sell those as a set. I prefer to. Yeah. I mean, I don't like to do that just because what happens when you do that is it becomes more expensive. Essentially, that's a lot of times what people do if they want to make more off a set, and then everybody's going to want the Baragon, but then maybe people will want the Mothra kind of thing, So I'm sorry, I don't like to do that just for that's unfortunately that's like the collector part of my brain. I can't do it. I can't split up sets. I just even if it's like when I was selling memorial boxes, of course you can make more splitting them up and it's easier to sell. I can't. I don't know why I can't do it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Realist Doji fan is very interested, that's Jordan, is very interested in the GMK set. Do you have a price for it?
Yeah, that should be around like $375 to $400 is when I'll sell it at G-Fest, around there.
Okay.
Perfect.
There was another one too, I thought. Pretty sure. No, okay. I guess that's it. What?
No, thanks.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to let you know too that, and for the people watching as well, I don't know if this is of interest as much, but especially for the kids, I'm going to be. We have have an ad in the G Fest program that says some of our specials, and I decided on a lot of these things, like some of the newer figures. Bandai's putting out a lot of 6-inch movie monster figures. I have quite a few of them, and I don't need to like keep those around. So I'm doing like a blowout of some of those, and I only have a certain number, obviously, for $14.99 each. I'm like,
what were those again, Barry?
Like 6-inch movie monsters: Godzilla -1, Godzilla 54, Godzilla 2019. There's two others that I have that on, but I have 5 figures from the movie monster series of Godzilla that'll be $14.99 until they're gone.
Okay, very nice. Are you gonna have any
of the
new movie monster series or Bandai's that have come out over the past year, like the Dancing Godzilla?
Oh yeah,
Baggin, the Super Godzilla variant color, like the brown version.
Yep, I'll have some of that stuff. I also I was also able to get through like a deal with somebody who I know who had a sort of a storage of these things from Japan. I'm going to have some of the Godzilla store exclusives of like, the red Godzilla -1, the flame throwing,
Oh, yeah.
the gold. I had some of that stuff. I had some of that stuff at All Monsters Attack actually, because it's got a shipment. I'll have the Bandai sets that have Kamacuras and Gabara, Bandai's, that really nicely. Did you guys see that nicely painted box art of that set? It was a beautiful cover of that set of 5 figures that the Godzilla store has. So I'll have quite a few Godzilla store exclusives, which probably won't last long because, those will be some of the first things to go. But I'll have some of that stuff too. I like to have a variety of things, that people otherwise can't get or it's harder to access,
Yeah. Do you have a ballpark for the prices on the Godzilla store exclusives?
Yeah. Like the set of the figures. I think the Godzilla store, which they're not going to have it for long, it's already pretty much. I think it's almost sold out. But I think they sell it for $150 that set, or $175. I'll have it for like $175 to $195 in that range. So it will not be much more than they sell it for. The same as the other ones. If they're selling something, I mean, I get them for a little less than what they sell them for, but not. It's still expensive for me. So like that red Godzilla will be around $40, $45. It's like 35 or 40, so it'll be close to their prices. It's not going to be anything like doubling their prices or something. It'll be close to what they sell for in the Godzilla store. Pretty much everything. You can add like 10 to 20% to that price, but that's what it'll be pretty much.
Okay.
Reasonable. What about the gigantic O2?
That is the RIC version. So that's going to be, that'll be like 1,100. That's a big one. Okay. That's right now. That sells online for
He's already starting, Barry. Watch out! Watch
Slowly
out!
I turn.
1,100. For those of you not aware, it's a little inside joke between Barry and I haggled him down on the was it the 67 Gamera and Gauss set?
Yeah, exactly.
At AMA,
good price.
Two years ago. Yeah, it was already
hysterical.
A good price.
That was hysterical.
Barry's amazing and gave it to me for a phenomenal price. So then I sat there for a half hour just repeating the price. So
first of all, your routine was so spectacular that I had to reward you in some way, because that was the best haggling routine I've ever seen. First of all, it definitely was, and the longest. But also there were only like 14 people at that show, so I needed to sell something.
Yeah. Space Beast says, "Great prices, Barry. Thanks for doing that." Yes, Barry is one of Eric and I's favorite dealers to buy from, even before we became friends with him. Just because he's an honest guy. I love the fact that I love the fact that you're like, hey man, like I bought it for this, I can't sell it for low. You know what I mean? You're just honest and straightforward. And, and I love
but
that.
You talk about being collectors. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you guys are great too. I mean, you guys are the same thing. You're into collecting. You understand what it's like when you go up and see something, and the price is like double of what you thought it would be, and that's so discouraging. There's no way you can even like haggle like Joe would do. No matter how good your haggling is, you can't get a price you're gonna, be happy with that. So I understand how discouraging that is to like see something that's priced like, oh, and sometimes you can't help it. There's things that are rare, whatever. I understand that totally. Sure. But I do my best to make things fair and accessible for people, because that's what it's all about. You don't want to discourage people. You don't want to get them frustrated, coming up and like, oh God, this is kind of a bummer, so there's only so much you can do. And again, I am fortunate in that I have another job, because that allows me to do that a little more. And, I'm not competing with the other dealers, like I said, because in quantities, of each of these things, I might have 5 or 4 or 3. So they'll be gone. And then people will buy from other people anyway, if they even see those prices or find them, because there's so many dealers there now. So, it's not like a competitive thing. It's just the way I felt about it, and the same way I felt about it at House of Monsters. I want to make it a friendly place and a fun place for people where they have a good time and a good experience. So I appreciate that, but I think that's really important. Definitely,
Yeah, it really is, because you can tell, like, when you go up to a dealer's table and, if something should be 100, maybe 150, and they have it priced at 250, they've overinflated it in order to, their negotiation is to bring it down on the high end of what it already should be. And it's like, oh man, like you could, and that's just
exactly.
It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sleazy to me, but that's just me.
And well,
it's also everybody has to make money. But
it's everybody makes their money, and that's okay with me. But really, the thing to me is it's not nice for the kids, who are buying stuff, who may not have as much experience or knowledge, because we do get that sometimes where parents will say, you have this for this. Why did that guy have it for that? And I'm not putting them down. I say, well, that's their price. They have to make a certain amount of money on it, but this is what I have to make on it. So, and I just don't like to see the kids' faces if they spend $200 for something that I have, or you guys would probably have for 100 or 125 bucks. You know what I mean? So that's kind of discouraging. So, and that's why I'm very careful about that at GFest, especially, and offer these blowout specials so that everybody, has a chance to get something, But this year, actually, there's going to be more dealers there. You know that, right? At GFest.
I do. Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting. So
yeah,
that's good in a way, and I hope it's helpful for people to have more of a selection. We'll see how that does in general for the flow and how it feels to everybody. But I think that's interesting, that it's a change,
I think, excuse me, we were kind of talking about this off camera, Barry, before we started, but I personally think competition is a great thing, because it keeps people more honest and more competitive, honestly, for lack of a better word, with their prices and with their product. If you only have Coke and Pepsi, they have to, keep up a certain standard. But if there's Coke, Pepsi, and, Coke A, Coke B, Coke C, all these other products, you're forced to, hey, we got to be really good, because there's more than just 1 or 2 options now. So,
No, I agree with that. I think it's nice. And I think, anytime, obviously, you guys know, you go to a show, you want to have a selection, and you want to have a lot of dealers. So to me, it's the more the merrier, and I think, GFest does it in a nice way where it's accessible in a room. Like if you go to Wizard World or those kind of conventions, or C2E2, it's so massive, you can't even make the rounds hardly. But this is a nice, manageable show, but it's big enough to have a nice selection of dealers too. So I think that's really a great, sort of middle ground that they have.
And one of the things that I always preach to people, and what I've learned over the years, is that with there's so many people and so many options, I always do a once through, and you look at everybody's stuff, and you just kind of price it out in your head. Just like, okay, this is what this is. This is what this is. Okay, this person has this. And I'll do that one time through, just to kind of see what caught my eye, what didn't caught my eye, who has the same thing, and who's cheaper, or whatever. I do that just so I get the lay of the land, and I see who has what, and maybe who has the best deal. And I've stood by that since I started doing it. And I always preach it to anybody else. Just do that. I understand it's overwhelming, and you just want to go in there and just buy, and stuff like that. And it can eat you up with that money real quick. But like, you want to take your time and just kind of scope it out. And I've always done that. So.
Yep. I agree. That's the way to do it. And especially at a show like this, where people may have some of the same things, and we always tell people at our table, if they're looking at something and they're kind of like, I don't know, whatever, it's this, that. I always say, hey, you know what? we have X number of these. You should take a look around and see what's going on.
Yeah.
See if there's other stuff you want. Because what happens is you go to a table, you see, oh my God, that's awesome. I want that. Then you go somewhere else and there's something else you were really looking for, like the greatest thing you're looking for, and then you can't buy it. So
Dude,
that's the way to do it. It is overwhelming. I could walk in there and we all could spend whatever in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? If you really, but that's why you have to be judicious. And it is a sport, and you have to definitely have an approach where you don't just go in, unless there's something, a holy grail, obviously, whatever. But in general, you don't go in there and just grab everything and then say, oh my gosh, I have no money left. And then I have all these tables to look at. So that's definitely good advice. And I think at G-Fest, that's important. But it's real important at G-Fest because there is some crossover in Godzilla and product, and collectibles. So, it's a good idea to price around, for X Plus, Monster Art, stuff like that. It's good to do. I agree. Totally. 100%.
Yep. Absolutely.
Barry, do you have a price on the Gappa and Gilala?
Yeah. The Gappa is, he's 400. Gulala is 350. That's kind of expensive, I know, but that's a super rare figure. And I mean, not that it matters.
350.
I should have said 450.
That is pretty rare. So
that is rare. My one saving grace at this show for Joe for looking at stuff and buying stuff is it's so busy you don't have time to do what you did at All Monsters Attack the first time. You will not have 45 minutes or an hour. You're going back and doing that over again. So
true.
I got you there.
Yes,
you dodged the bullet.
That is true. Unfortunately, that is very, very true.
That's good. No, that's fun. Actually. It's a good time.
For Leslie, who was asking, the Star Ace Kong, what do you got on that?
That one, I just got those. I haven't seen the invoice. Usually, on that kind of stuff, that's like Star Ace kind of stuff, I price like 25% above cost. So if they have an idea of what they're selling for or something like that, I don't know exactly, but I price like 25% above. So it won't be super expensive. It'll probably be less than eBay prices, I would imagine, pretty much. Yeah. So I don't know though. I cannot give one on that because I have not seen the invoice for that yet. This is a period of time we're talking about getting ready for G-Fest.
Yeah, and everybody can save on
it's
shipping.
$1,000 when you get there.
You got to think
well,
about
that's
that
true.
too. You save on shipping, so
no,
that's not cheap enough.
That's definitely a point. Most of my stuff on eBay is free shipping most of the time. I try to do that,
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, shipping can definitely eat into it, and but that's what we're talking about getting ready for G-Fest. The problem is I'm getting stuff in. And I'm not like putting on eBay stuff I'm not selling. I'm bringing it to G-Fest. So it's sitting in a box, still. I haven't even opened it or looked at what's, going on. And I have stuff coming in like that. Not that I have like warehouses, but, I had a box of case of those coming in, whatever. So I haven't looked at like the pricing on that yet, Yeah.
Okay. I have an inquiry about one that I'm looking for that I had missed out because this was a Japanese exclusive X Plus. So this is from the Toho Maniacs line. And are you getting any of the Sun God from Warrior or oh my God, Orochi, the
Yamato
Dragon?
Takeru.
Yeah.
I missed those. I missed the order on those, and I missed them. And I wanted them. But again, that's one of those things that is like something that's fairly obscure, kind of like a Gappa thing or whatever. It's sort of a one-off thing, but because of that, there's people who are very devoted. I think that's really cool. It's a great design, and I wanted one for me actually, but I couldn't get them after that. And then secondary market went too high, and I'm like, I can't. I don't know what they are now, but even then, it was just like I don't want to buy them for me, but I also don't want to buy them to sell because I don't want to sell them for that much. So I'm sorry, it's something I missed. I wasn't even for some reason I missed a pre-order on that. Maybe because it's so obscure, I just missed it.
It is.
I'll have a couple on something else I really like from them is the Godzilla Tower. I'll have a couple of those. The Godzilla, the children's world. Yeah, exactly. So I love that. I love that figure. So that's really cool. Yeah. They do some great stuff. It's a great line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it definitely seems like I will be spending a lot of my money, to my wife's chagrin, at your table, Barry. I can't help it.
Well, it's reassuring to know I will sell something at G-Fest.
Yes,
That's good.
you will. And I'm going to use every trick in the book to get a phenomenal. Do you know that my wife and I are expecting a baby? And to help us out, like we're poor and yeah,
The sympathy card.
yeah, yeah.
You know what? You can sell 4 of those posters behind you. You'll be fine. You know, I mean,
That's true. That's true. Oscar has another
Sorry.
question.
Anyway, yeah.
Is this the same Godzilla Evolved that Leslie was talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, then yes, Oscar,
I think that
he
is.
will have-
That is. Yeah. That is.
Yep.
Same thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Barry had-
And
or,
you know, the only problem is with this stuff again is that on that kind of stuff, I mean, some other places probably will. I just don't have a deep stock on those things. I'll have like 4 or 6 or whatever. So who knows? But I will have them. And I do have like right here actually is a Haya figure. So
Yeah.
I'll have Haya figures, and those do vary, you know, in their retail price, you know, pretty much, because if they're like this, they're in like the $50, $60 range. The Ghidra and the bigger ones are like $80, $90. But most of those are in like pretty much, I think, the $50 to $100 range. Most of them. Some are a little more. So that's probably what most of those will be. But I do think they actually do a really nice job, you know, on the Haya figures.
Yeah.
They're good, and they're not like overpriced. So I think that's a good line.
Oh, yeah,
You know, and so I definitely have some of that.
Haya
Good to know.
is very impressive because of their quality for their price point. I think that they are absolutely
I agree.
giving Monster Arts a run for their money, or starting to, anyways.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. They're also good at packaging too. Their packaging is nice. They look good. You know, it's nice, very bright. You know, so they've got it too. They know what they're doing too. And I agree with you that for the price point, that quality is really good for something actually, you know, from Japan. You know, so that I agree with you 100%. So I try to have a variety of those.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we've been cruising for a little over an hour now. Eric, is there any other final questions you want to get in? Any other questions you want to ask Barry if he has products of, or?
Oh boy.
Well, you're definitely gonna have to check it out because Damien's selling some model kits, and you're a big.
That's true.
model
That's
kit
true.
collector.
I am a big
Oh, yeah.
model kit buyer, so I'll have to check that stuff out.
I mean,
for
Damien
sure.
started making models when we opened the House of Monsters. He already made models, but then he really started in '96, and since then, I mean, he just goes all out. He wants to light stuff up. He made me a Billiken Mecha Kong, you know, that nice, you know, the 12-inch Mecha Kong kit.
Yeah.
And he lit up the snow part, like he made a part of the base like Element X, which just lights up really bright, like Element X. And then he lit up his, you know, on his head too.
Okay.
So he really goes all
Yeah.
out, man. He made a snow Arctic base
cool.
and everything. It's just awesome. Love it. So I love it all. So you know, at least, you know, the nice thing about having the kits is people like to see them. It's like a museum. People like take pictures, whatever. It's still fun to see that stuff built up and what he does with them. Because a lot of them he's got like a Godzilla and Biollante diorama that's really nice. He did, you know, of those kits and like a long sort of base with like foliage and water and stuff like that. So it's really cool. So he does a lot of stuff like that.
Love it.
Yep.
Awesome. Love it.
Awesome. Barry, the last word is yours. Anything else you would like to promote that you're going to be having that you weren't able to show off, or any other conventions besides G-Fest? Or if you know your location and the dealer's room, please tell everybody.
Well,
or if you have an email
I'm
or
pretty
something.
sure now we haven't gotten David's setup yet, right? The room setup.
Not
Have
to
you
my
guys gotten
knowledge.
it?
I mean,
Okay.
no,
I
don't
think we're in the-
personally get them, so yeah, I'm not sure.
I think we're in the same place. Where if you walk in the dealer's room and you go to your left, all you have to do is look down the aisle against the wall on the left, and the table and the setup that goes the highest to the ceiling, that's ours.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We bring
And
the
watch
ladders,
as-
and Damien risks his life to go up and put that stuff up and then to take it down. So yeah, I mean, it's funny if you see when we're like getting something from the highest and people are like, oh, maybe I'll wait and get it later. You don't want to go up there, because it looks a little rough, but we know how to stack it up. We've done it for years, so don't worry.
Don't ever wait on getting something from Barry, because every time you do, you come back and it's gone. You're like, crap, I should have grabbed it.
Yes. That is so true. That is so true.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
so there's your location for GFest. Is there any other conventions you're doing coming up that you would like to plug anywhere in the country you're going?
Well, I'll be doing it's a smaller scale thing, but I'm going to go back to Kane County at the end of July. I'll be there. They have a July show. And that's because it's so hot. That's all indoors, so it's air conditioned, because sometimes they have outdoor things. You can't do that at that time. And I'll be doing some more local, like Chicago movie type shows, but nothing bigger until probably next year. So G-Fest is really like my blowout show after I do like 4 shows. I've done 4 shows so far this year. That's all I can really do. And then G-Fest is it. And then I just wait for the next cycle to start in, March.
Will you do Kane County in the fall?
October, I definitely will, because that's like the horror, more horror Halloween show. Yeah, I'll definitely do that for sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll definitely be there in the fall. I don't think I'll be able to make it in July because that's right around the time my kid's going to be born. And I'm pretty sure if I missed it to buy Godzilla stuff.
Come on. Get your priorities straight.
I know, right? Yeah. It's funny. My wife said this exact same thing, but in a different context.
Well, she loves you then. That's beautiful. Yeah. That means she does, actually. That's beautiful. But you should be there for the kids. Probably better. Yeah. So that's exciting anyway. So congratulations on that. That is actually really exciting. That's cool.
Yeah. It's our first.
Definitely. Yeah.
We're very excited. Very much so.
Oh, you're going to have a good time.
Yes. Barry, thank you so much
I know.
For joining us again. It was a blast. You're a great guy. You're a funny guy. I wish you all the best and all the success. You truly deserve it. You're a genuine human being, and I don't throw that around lightly. I mean that genuinely. So
that's nice.
For those
you guys, again, you guys make it fun. I mean, that's the thing. It's about like having a good time, really appreciating it. And you guys have such a good spirit about it. And that's why I really love your podcast too, because it's always in the spirit, you know what I mean? And that's great. And that's important to do, sort of, just you have so much appreciation for it that it shows, it like emanates out of everything. So that's what you want, so I appreciate that. I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. We appreciate that. For those of you that can't make it to G-Fest or Kane County, make sure you check out House of Movie Monsters. That is Barry's eBay store, where you can find a bunch of goodies, not just Godzilla, but also horror and other sci-fi things. Right, Barry?
Yeah. Mostly to do pretty much films from like the silent era up to the 80s pretty much is what I pretty much cover on there, and the collectibles and films and stuff like that. And if you go there, if you can't go to G-Fest, if you go after G-Fest, I will be loading up the store with all the stuff I didn't sell at G-Fest. So, I'll still have a lot of stuff on there, but then I'll be loading it up with a lot of stuff that I have extras from there. So there'll be more stuff on there after that too.
Awesome. Yeah. Perfect. Well, with that, I will wind down here. Thank you again, Barry. Thank you to everybody in the chat for tuning in and chiming in. If you guys watch this later, you guys can find, like I said, Barry at House of Movie Monsters on his eBay store. And if you need a hand getting a hold of him, reach out to us and I will set something up. If you guys have questions or whatever, get you guys all in contact. Hopefully we'll see you guys all at G-Fest. Barry, I will definitely see you at G-Fest. Eric, thanks for finally getting your camera ready to rock and roll. It was a stressful thing for you, I know. Real quick, next week, a week from today, June 11th, Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central, we are sitting down and interviewing Dragon Ball Z voice actor Josh Martin, who voices Majin Buu from the Dragon Ball Z franchise, amongst many other anime voices, but that's what he's most notable for. So that should be a lot of fun, and we're very excited for that. Check us out. Again, that's June 11th at 5 p.m. Central. Barry, thank you. Eric, thank you. Chat, thank you. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. And as always, embrace the attitude.